The Walt Disney Company and the rest of Hollywood are freaking out because lawsuits are raining down upon their heads, and the federal government is taking the opposite position instead of them, demanding that streaming now be made available in terms of transparency. What does it mean? Well, it turns out, folks, you may find out how many billions and billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars have been wasted chasing the clout, and investors doubt they'll ever get their streaming investments back again. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the channel that continues to change hearts and minds simply by telling the truth one video at a time, 4 times a day, and more are on the way. The Hollyweirds can't understand how we do what we do, but we do it for you. Folks, we only ask that you click the like button. We'll get underway explaining why entertainment is absolutely freaked out by lawsuits, El Trumpo, and the Doge mobile. It's coming to us from the Hollywood Reporter. Take a look at this. It's from Winston Cho. And wouldn't you know it? It looks like all that craziness, that Valiant Renegade and WDW Pro, that when we were talking about hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, and Jonas J. Campbell was out there shaking the rooftop saying, hey, this Disney streaming thing cost a lot more than they're saying. We were not crazy. Disney's multi-billion-dollar streaming decisions may be unearthed in court battle against investors. A judge declined to dismiss a lawsuit from investors who claimed former CEO Bob Chapek aimed to hide Disney Plus costs and make forecasts that it would be profitable by 2024. Now, the fun part of this is that they're blaming it on Bob Chapek, but that's only because he's the guy who, in the time frame of the lawsuit, really these decisions, in our estimation, come down to the current Bob Iger. Let's read a little bit about this, and then I'm going to tell you how this is related to Doge, folks. Oh, boy. Wouldn't you know Elon's riding in on this? A federal judge has advanced a lawsuit against Disney from investors who claim that they were misled about the extent of the entertainment giant's losses stemming from its lofty subscriber growth and profitability targets in the era of ousted CEO Bob Chapek. Well, yes, it does appear they've missed all of that because they might be missing Bob Chapek. Wonder who made them miss the targets. U.S. District Judge Consuelo Marshall on Wednesday denied a bid by Disney to dismiss the lawsuit, finding that former company executives who allegedly devised a plan to make it appear that its streaming platform could reach Netflix-like scale may have engaged in deceptive conduct. Now, we all remember that Disney wanted Disney Plus to be on the level of Netflix. It's nowhere close. And of course, YouTube is dominating both of them. The complaint alleged that Chapek aimed to hide Disney Plus costs and make forecasts that it would be profitable by 2024, believable by overhauling the executive leadership structure and airing certain shows meant to be streaming originals on legacy TV networks to conceal losses amid slowing subscriber growth. Now, I also find it fun down here that they reveal the number. Remember, they thought they were going to have 230 million subscribers on Disney Plus by 2024. By 2024. As of December 2024, it was really 124 million. Missed it by that much. Only about 105. Only by 105 million subscribers. Just a little bit off. Just a little bit off. Now, I'm not going to keep going to this article. It's suffice to say that what's happening here is that Disney fears discovery. Disney fears discovery big time. Because if the discovery happens, and this is why settlement now looks more likely than ever, and settlement's going to be expensive. The discovery process could put out just how much Disney has put out to invest into Disney Plus. And we believe here on this channel, although it does involve some degree of speculation, but not a tremendous amount, we think the investment here is rising up to about the level of $100 billion. It's nutty. It's insane. We could break that down. We've done it before. Let's just say that buying Fox and getting Hulu and all of that was expensive, and building the infrastructure for Disney Plus, expensive, and getting all those shows that no one knows on Disney Plus, expensive. Before we go any further, before we get into the Elon Musk aspect of this, I want to go to the panel, and Bob Chapek is here with us. Bob, how are you?
Well, I'm doing just fine actually. I have a wonderful you know NDA that makes it impossible for me to defend myself until I'm actually taken into court. So this looks like a unique opportunity for me to spill the beans on what the plans were behind the scenes all along.
Bob, why do you
Deposition.
sound like Mike Zero?
Well, no, Mach Zero sounds a little bit different than this. I sound a little bit more gay and a lot more bald. So
Bob, have you been digging up thumbnails on your Bob Chapek archipelago? And by the way, your name down at the bottom says Culture Casino. So I'm actually onto the ruse here. Culture, get yourself back on screen. Quit hiding behind a Bob.
there's no ruse here.
Stop
I'm
hiding
good.
behind a Bob,
I'm
Culture.
good.
You're bobbing and weaving, sir. And we just want to see your weave. All right, Culture, here's the question for you. I need to know, and not what love is. Culture, I
I
need to
want to
know.
know what love is.
And
Okay,
we're
wait.
demonetized. All right.
Right,
Well, it was a
right,
worthwhile joke
right,
anyway.
right.
Culture,
Yeah.
how much are they really in, and how much do they fear discovery in this if it gets there?
It's the same problem they have with the Gina Carano suit. The discovery into this would be devastating in a whole different way than the stuff that's going on. Reputational damage, well, that's Gina Carano. Financial damage, that's going to be Bob Chapek. This could introduce a whole new idea because it's not just the Chapek era that they're attacking. They're attacking all the way through 2023. So that was the return of the Bob. Look, the two Bobs here, the story of two Bobs is going to be told in court. And if that happens, it's going to be devastating to the legacy of Mr. Iger, because everything that supposedly the investors are after was all kind of instigated in the Iger era. And the idea to like put production across the board had already been done. They're trying to lay it at his feet, Chapek's feet, but that's not what happened. They're trying to lay DMED as the demon here. That's not true. That particular move was actually to try to corral expenditure on film and television products. That wasn't the idea to expand it, which is what this article makes it out to be. So when you take a deeper look at this, I mean, Chapek's not going to be the only fool in town who they're trying to dump all of this on. And again, when he's in court, he gets a chance to say what he needs to say. The NDA will mean nothing. They absolutely don't want that. They want him to look like the bad guy, but they don't want to have him come out and defend himself as the bad guy. So ultimately, this is a real mess, and the Hollywood Reporter is not reporting it that way, and that's a big problem. I think going forward, even more of what we said, Pro, and what Valiant said, and what Jonas said, pretty much everybody on this panel has said, is that there's a way more for them to worry about financially, because this opens up the financial doors into all manner of malfeasance.
And it separates Disney Plus from Hulu. And the whole game here has been to buy Hulu at extreme cost, hide the cost, and then tie the Hulu numbers with Disney Plus to make it look like Disney Plus is doing okay.
Well, and for example, this is an example you brought up a while ago, Pro. The Bear, Shogun. These are all not products of Disney Plus. They all came from the television side of Fox. And I mean, there's a lot of telling intermingling here that would be really interesting to look at the accounting. And that was during Iger's era.
Well, let's look at something that Nielsen is doing. And this is coming to us from Mac. Now it's known. Mac. And this is one of the things that's just happened. I mean, maybe we should play it. Should we play it, Vash? I think we should play it.
I think we should.
All right, folks, breaking news. Take a look at this. Out of Nielsen, they've changed the way that they calculate this now. And it's because, I believe, Disney was getting absolutely KO'd. So now what they've done is they've combined Disney into Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu SVOD. So those three services are very distinctly different, yet all of them are getting combined into one now, and it's just Disney. It's not a platform, like Peacock, for example. There's different things that companies that own Peacock have available. Doesn't get counted that way. Nothing's getting counted this way except for Disney. And Max says, yes, they are three separate services. Nielsen lists and measures services by name, not by owner, except Disney is not a service. We can agree, not subtle twisting. Now, even if you combine Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu together, it is still dwarfed by Netflix. And Disney Plus by itself was supposed to take on Netflix. And Netflix and Disney, by the way, are dwarfed by YouTube. And you'll notice there's another trick happening here. Notice that YouTube has a little thing underneath it that says main, M-A-I-N. Yeah. They're essentially, and we don't want to be mean to Nielsen. We know Nielsen's in a hard place. I don't want to get into that conversation right now. Why? That's a video for another day. But YouTube has this tiny little word underneath it that says main, that essentially says we've put some extra parameters around YouTube. And Disney has a little star next to it that says we've broadened out Disney as best we can. All of this, I believe, is meant or has the effect of making Disney look far more successful than they are and YouTube far less. Now, who is determined to make that happen? I don't know. Culture, did you have something? You raised your hand.
I want to ask you.
This is not third grade, Culture. Just break in, man. You're an expert in the area. Come on.
Okay. Well, no, but it like Fubo disappeared, Pro. What happened?
Oh, poor little Fubo.
What happened?
Poor little Fubo. They just it's almost like they get gobbled up in that star next to Disney.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. When you wish upon a Fubo, there's no telling where your money go. By the way, so we've been watching and talking about how, Roku and Tubi were on track to beat Disney Plus. They still are, but you'll never know about it now. It's the tricks of the trade, folks. And Disney magically gets to say they're ahead of Amazon Prime.
Bro, do you like being at the top above Netflix? Because your show's on there, technically.
That's right. Well, yeah, we're in YouTube, baby. We're in YouTube, but we're on YouTube main and every other version of YouTube you can find. It's insane. Vash, what do you got? You're hopping in on this. What do you got?
Well, I believe in the company charter, the Walt Disney Company charter, that is in 2021, they said that they would achieve certain goals and profitability by 2024 with Disney Plus exclusively. Now they use the term combined DTC. Nelson Peltz was the one raising alarm bells about like the Fox purchase, for example. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If you bought Fox for $70 billion, which is way overvalued and overpriced, and you did it primarily for streaming services and so forth, then why did you buy
Marvel.
all of this legacy media and linear broadcasting with that? Like, why did you make that purchase? Why was the valuation as high as it was? And we here on this show and others have raised questions about the not only the profitability of streaming, but also the business decisions surrounding it. Why are you spending $645 million for Andor, for example? Why are you spending all this money? Why are you pilfering from the parks and giving all that money over to streaming in the way that you are? Why did you cannibalize linear network in order to do streaming, physical media, for example? All these have been big questions, and I think shareholders and stakeholders are saying, what are you doing with our money? What are you doing with our investments?
Right. Okay.
And are you making the best decisions? Go ahead.
All right. Okay. First and foremost, don't ever say stakeholders again. That is the neo-Marxist word for shareholders. Okay.
Sorry.
No such thing. Stakeholders insinuates they have some greater plan out there to, dominate the world. Let's not do that. Let's do this though, and ask the major question that I have right now. What happened with Pluto TV? Why is it separate from its owner, Paramount? Because, well, that would be unfortunate for a lot of other streaming services out there, because Paramount would then have a broader number than what was represented in Mac's chart. This is the problem.
Would they get a little star? Would they get a cute little star too, Culture?
I tell you what, everybody deserves a star at this point, because everybody owns everything else, which would also include Sling TV and a whole lot of other things. So when you start to look at who owns who, it doesn't look as good for Disney again. This is the problem. I want a star, says Disney, and they get it. So they look better and bigger than others. They're not. And their churn rate is hidden in this recent action with, what was it I mentioned? Fubo TV? No, that's for us by us. Fubo TV. So that was the oopsie. I knew Kevin would get that. That was the oopsie.
What are you trying to say, Culture? What are you trying to say?
Not one thing. Other than Disney is scandalously evil and is always looking to hide their intention. Do you realize that Bob Iger buys stuff just to look good?
What? No, you mean his yacht is not for environmental purposes?
I don't think there's no, but I mean, it only buys stuff for the company to look good. Dude, this guy's legacy is going to be like, I bought a lot of empty shells. Thanks.
Well, they love us culture. They love us and what we do every day of exposing what's really going on. And then we get proven right time and time again. We're not right 100% of the times, folks, but 99 point whatever feels pretty good. I kid. It wasn't that high. All right. If you're wondering when are Lauren and Kevin getting in, well, get ready, folks, because we're going to give them a win, because this is the really spicy part of it. This is the Doge mobile. Things are happening over there at the federal government, and you like that culture, the Doge mobile? Oh,
very, very much.
All right, here we go, folks. Out of Fortune, Trump executive order. This came out the 19th, so wow, here we are. Trump executive order aims to seize control from independent watchdogs, the SEC. Here's the two that really matter for this conversation, the FTC and the FCC. It's by Josh Boak from the Associated Press. President Donald Trump is moving to give the White House direct control of independent federal regulators such as the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Federal Communications Commission. The executive order that Trump signed Tuesday gives the president more power to shape the oversight of the financial system and lay out criteria for transportation safety, basic consumer protections, and wireless broadcast, satellite, and broadband communications. All right, these two, federal trade and federal communications, that's what they're terrified of at the legacy media, including places like Disney. And I guess I'll go to either one. Kevin, Lauren, whoever wants to take it first, I'll let you guys battle it out for it. What they're afraid of, I think, in terms of streaming, is that if Trump exerts some level of control over these entities, and we're going to stay out of the political side of it, whether it's right or wrong. We're not interested in the policy side. We're interested in the impact on entertainment. They're afraid that those regulators might regulate streaming. And they're afraid that they might force these companies to be transparent about how much it is they're investing, how much it is that they're receiving, what the profits are broken down by streaming services, as well as what's really going on with subscriber numbers. It gets a little bit wonky on what's really happening. And I think they're terrified of this. Now, I don't think Netflix has a lot to be afraid of, and I don't think YouTube does. But everybody else has some skeletons in the closet here, and Disney might have the most. What do you guys make of the idea that the feds get involved with this, and maybe with a grin on their face, because it's not as if they're besties with Bob?
I'm honestly a little surprised this hasn't come up sooner. Once you get past 2020, you see a tremendous explosion in the price points, and then a drastic drop in quality. I mean, we need to be real about what's happening with streaming. You can't really see anything that you really want to see. It's all overpriced. And if I'm a shareholder, I know that these platforms are all hemorrhaging money, but no one seems to be able to tell you where the money's going, why we're still spending the money. And while these guys are doing their, we all know the end game here is it's going to be a massive Highlander battle, because the space is just too crowded right now. They keep cramming these streaming services out, and it's just too much. When it was just Netflix, it made sense. Then Hulu came, and that made sense. Now it's just absurd. It's like when the Tribbles were falling out of the storage bin in the original Star Trek. These services keep coming, and they're just polluting the space, and no one's making any money, but they keep wanting us to spend it. So someone needs to start cracking the whip and say, well, what the hell are you guys doing?
Lauren, hop in. Your thoughts on the issue of transparency and what might happen with streaming if it's opened up and investors can see it.
My interest has less to do with streaming and the numbers associated with that. I'm looking more at the FCC for Section 230 of the 1996 Digital Communications Act, and
Please,
that's
Lauren, tell me that you Googled that. If you're that smart, that you just rattled that off. I have to.
no, this directly impacted the industry that I used to work in, and
Okay,
so
okay.
What Section
He's a
230
genius.
gave
He's a genius, folks.
was protections for internet companies, so that they were trying to determine carriers. Basically, they wanted to treat carriers like a utility, and the idea was that you would get certain protections if you were going to have like a social media thing carried across your wires. You would be treated as a platform, not a publisher, whereas the social media company would be treated as the publisher. Well, that gave them some protections against regulation for things that might be considered objectionable or potentially illegal. But in many, many cases, those carriers actually did own social media companies and were blurring the lines. And because a lot of these social media companies were wanting to use the threat of potential regulation, they started doing all of this content moderation. And that's where you started getting the gray listing or your algorithms that were adjusting your visibility for speech that may be considered objectionable or offensive. And this is kind of how the government sort of got around First Amendment protections. It's like, we're not regulating your speech. We may be subtly threatening in the background these carriers who can regulate your speech. This is how you end up having the Department of Justice referring particular posts to these social media companies, who then basically take you offline, cancel you, censor you, do all of those things. And so I think Section 230 is needed to be revisited for quite some time, so that the social media companies, that the whole idea was that you don't want to regulate these internet companies, especially when they were brand new. We're going back to what, 30 years now, because they were a burgeoning space where you were having all of these new technologies developed. And the idea is, we don't want to overregulate these things because we may kill the golden goose. Well, they didn't have to regulate. They just threatened to regulate. And I think that they need to be a lot more clear about what you can and cannot do as a publisher. If you're going to create a platform that allows people to publish, allow them to publish, hold the person that is publishing the articles or the speech. If they're doing something illegal, fine, prosecute them. If not, it should be treated as protected speech. And otherwise, government stays hands off. That's what I think we need to do to get a lot more transparency in society as a whole.
There was a number of court cases, by the way, that people brought up, arguing Section 230 protections and provisions didn't protect social media platforms and such from doing what they were doing. How does President Donald Trump on the 6th of January of 2021 get removed from the platform? Some of that is because of what was codified with Section 230 and those judiciary decisions that were made and ruled against people looking to find some relief somewhere. But a lot of judges took up those cases and said, well, Section 230 allows them to run ripshot basically over everybody. So that something definitely needs to happen there. That's for sure.
All right. That went very deep, and I enjoyed it. Anybody else have anything they want to add, though? I don't want to stop this conversation. It's really good. All right.
It's just sad how the decisions that were made at the Walt Disney Company in order to lead to this point. Remember, Bob Iger, he walks away in very early 2020, right when the ink was dried on the deal that merged Fox with the Walt Disney Company. Again, that was a $70 billion acquisition. There were huge amounts of IP, and even Bob Iger said, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer in order to see that this deal goes through and that we just have this clean handoff right here. But before one of the biggest upending significant events happens, where their theatrical is shut down, where their parks are shut down, and everything else that happened in 2020, the company leaned on Disney Plus without Bob Iger, and it's just a total catastrophe what has happened ever since then, and we're kind of following in this wake, and I'm glad that this lawsuit is being taken up.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to reveal what they think it's going to reveal, as I mentioned before. I think it's going to show that there were a lot of hands in this deal, and I'm going to say something that's a little more suspicious than anybody here has actually mentioned. There was a great CEO exodus leading into a global crisis that locked down the planet. And it's like some people had a heads up on some things, and it's not just a little bit suspicious that Iger, decided, hey, things are looking really weird in China. I think I'm going to roll out, early. Peace. Oh, by the way, this is this new dude. This is a new Bob. The same as the old Bob, because I'll be, lording over him. But enjoy. It'll be fun.
That's right. He's the Be Right Back Bob.
You're my hero.
Kevin, I'll give you the final word. What do you got?
Hey, accountability is never a bad thing. These guys have run roughshod for a very long time. They don't answer questions truthfully, and there's no better disinfectant than the light of day. Also, too, people are very shy about throwing the word monopoly around, but look at what they have facilitated. They have a lot of power. There are certain platforms that have eviscerated the use of adult language for reasons, especially during that time when the world got shut down. They've made it virtually impossible for, a couple of kids with some savvy and maybe some of mommy's money to go launch a new platform without it getting shut down. We're supposed to make sure that there's room for everybody to play if they want to put the work in, not just keep it down to a group of very greedy people who are going to change and bend the rules every chance they get. So, although I'm never one for too much government intervention, every once in a blue moon, you do need that big boot to go flying up a butt.
It's a dual track, folks, and we're watching both of them. Not only is Disney facing the issue of angry investors filing lawsuits, but it's the government too, and it's going to affect streaming, social media, and beyond. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video, well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun. Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.